The state fair is over, and the results for the annual House of Representatives Legislative Opinion Poll are in. Let's find out what our poll takers thought. Question 1. Should an individual who disrupts a youth athletic event or inflicts demonstrable bodily harm on a sports official performing his or her duties during the event be subject to a fine of up to $1,000? Over the past few years, there have been several incidents at youth sporting events that have prompted proposed legislation to protect athletic officials from being harmed or harassed while performing their duties. A bill that would increase the penalties for anyone at a sporting event who disrupts it or harms a sports official stalled in the House this year. But here's how poll takers felt about it. Question 2. Should Minnesota legalize and regulate gambling on professional and collegiate sports? With more than 24 states making sports betting legal, including a few that surround Minnesota, there seems to be some nationwide momentum for legalizing sports gambling. The House passed a bill in May that would have made sports gambling legal in Minnesota, but it would be conducted by tribal entities. The Senate did not act upon it. When we asked poll takers a similar question last year, a very slight majority, 40.7%, voted in favor of sports gambling, while 40.3% opposed the idea. Here's what poll takers thought this year. Question 3. Should anyone who operates a boat or personal watercraft in the state be required to complete a safety course and receive a permit? With over 10,000 lakes, Minnesota is one of the most active boating states in the nation. With that said, boating-related accidents are on the rise, with 18 people losing their lives to watercraft accidents or drownings in 2021. Under current law, youth 12 to 17 years of age are required to obtain a watercraft operator's permit. Supporters say it would make boating in Minnesota safer if all watercraft operators are made to take a mandatory safety course and receive a permit. Here's how survey takers felt about it. Question 4. Should the state pay newly hired police officers a bonus of up to $10,000 if they successfully complete their first year on the job? Many law enforcement agencies across the state are short-staffed, and many communities are having trouble filling vacancies, which has prompted lawmakers to generate ideas to address the issue. Supporters say a proposal put forth in 2022 to help fill peace officer vacancies would have appropriated $15 million in fiscal year 2023 to reimburse law enforcement agencies for incentive bonuses of up to $10,000 per officer. Would our poll takers sign on to that proposal? Here's what they thought. Question 5. Should all Social Security benefits be exempt from state taxation? Approximately 33% of Social Security benefits are subject to state income taxes, but with Minnesota enjoying a record budget surplus, some members have proposed eliminating all state taxes on those benefits. Fully exempting Social Security benefits from the individual income tax would allow Minnesota to join 28 other states which already do so, including Wisconsin and Iowa. We put the question to survey takers. This is how they felt about it. Question 6. Should the state replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day as a state holiday? A proposal in the Omnibus State Government Finance Bill would have replaced Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day as a recognized state holiday. Schools, if in session, would have been required to organize programs about the history, culture, and issues related to Native Americans to mark the day. Supporters say the change would create an opportunity for Minnesotans to learn and share the true history of the state and that Christopher Columbus did things that should not be commemorated. But opponents have argued that an existing holiday should not be eliminated and replaced with a new one. This is how poll takers weighed in. Question 7. Should a school voucher system be established whereby the state issues parents a voucher equal to the state's cost of educating a child for a year, and parents choose the school their child attends, whether public or private? Supporters say one of the best ways to close the state's achievement gap is to give parents a way to choose which schools their children attend by establishing a system of vouchers. Opponents say such a system would only widen the achievement gap by funneling resources away from the schools that need the most. When we asked this question last year, roughly 46% of poll takers said they support the vouchers, while 40% oppose them. But this year? Question 8. Should Minnesota allow the recreational use of marijuana by persons aged 21 and over? The recreational use of marijuana is now legal in a number of U.S. states and Canada, and Minnesota currently allows marijuana to be used for medical purposes, but not recreationally. Supporters say the state should regulate recreational marijuana use to ensure it is safe, while also capitalizing on the millions of dollars of revenue a tax on marijuana sales would generate. Others opposed the idea, arguing that legalizing marijuana would make it far too accessible and thereby expand its use and potential abuse. Nearly 60% of poll takers were in favor of legalization when we asked the question last year. Here's how it turned out this year. Question 9. Should a permanent absentee voter registration list be created that would allow voters who sign up to always have an absentee ballot mailed to them prior to each election? Approximately 26,000 Minnesotans have signed up for the permanent absentee ballot list and are sent an application before each election. Upon its return, a ballot is then mailed. This application process is an unnecessary additional step for voters who have already indicated they wish to be a permanent absentee voter, supporters of the bill have said. But opponents have said, in part, the new list would amount to an unfunded mandate for local election officials who are already stretched thin and lacking resources. How did our voters react? Question 10. Should eligible high school seniors receive conditional admission to the Minnesota state system of colleges and universities rather than having to complete an application process? Last session, a pilot program to automatically offer eligible public high school seniors conditional admission to the Minnesota state system of colleges and universities was offered in the House. The proposal would have allowed direct conditional admission for eligible students based on their high school grade point average, transcript information, standardized tests, statewide assessments, and other measures. The idea didn't make it to the governor's desk, but here's what our survey takers thought of it. Question 11. Should businesses be allowed to install and manage electric vehicle charging stations at interstate highway rest stops to help expand the charging infrastructure throughout the state? Supporters of this question believe installing charging stations at interstate rest stops would help EV owners recharge as they travel across the state. Opponents say the proposal would pull people away from other private businesses that may now offer or would like to offer those charging stations to consumers. Here's how poll takers looked at it. Question 12. Should high school students be required to take a civics and personal finance class in order to graduate? The National Assessment of Educational Progress has estimated that approximately 77% of Minnesota students who graduate from high school are not proficient in civics. A bipartisan proposal to address that was again offered last session, but again failed. It would have modified the state's social studies graduation requirements to ensure students take civics while in grades 11 or 12. Here's what poll takers thought. Thanks for taking the Minnesota House of Representatives annual legislative opinion poll. For more information, you can visit the House website at www.house.mn. We'll see you next year at the fair.